Good morning, and thank you for joining me, Coach Michael, on your Monday morning. A blog and video I did right before the holidays was all about creating a synergistic organization and team. So today's message is for any team leader, business owner, or manager. Now, over the next 6 weeks, in that blog I shared, there were 6 steps to create the organization of synergy. So over the next 6 weeks, I am going to share these 6 steps. So the first is, when you're creating an organization or a team to be synergistic, the first thing you need to do is use behavioral assessments. Now, there's many to choose from. There's Myers-Briggs. Myself, I use DISC motivators, and most importantly, the simplest is the DISC. And the reason why we use this, first of all, in any organization or business, usually the biggest breakdown, or at least the start of the breakdown, always comes down to the lack of communication. So what does a DISC create for an organization? First of all, you have to understand that there is 4 dynamics of behaviors in people. D is one of them. DISC, D-I-C-S. D is dominant. D is usually the leader of the organization, rolling up his sleeves, making things happen, demanding results for everybody. I is influencing. They're usually great salespeople, great up front at the front desk, great at building relationships and having conversations. S is usually more reserved. They're good for the back. They balance the others out. They're reserved. They're more slow type talkers. They think things through. And C is your compliance person. Dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure everything is perfect. Now, each of these 4 behaviors is kind of like a double-edged sword. And let me explain. The good aspects of a high D is they get things done. They lead. They make things happen. The bad aspects of a high D is sometimes they're impatient. They can get angry. They get a little rough around the edges. So if they're not slowing down, they can come across as a little abrasive of not even knowing it. High I, what's great about a high I? They're great at building relationships. They're great at having conversations. The bad part about a high I is they're not very good at dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Usually organization, focus, and time management is an issue for them. And also they're situational listeners. So that could be a big deterrent. However, if you take the combination of a D and an I, they make great salespeople. Why? They're goal-oriented, they're dominant, they're making things happen, they build great relationships. So usually the DIs are out in front of the organization. Now the S, what's the good thing about an S? They're calm, they're reserved, they slow down, they think things through. That's good to balance out a high D or a high I. What's the negatives of a high S? Sometimes they don't like confrontation. They don't like rejection. They don't like going outside their comfort zone. So if you press them too hard, they couldn't shut down. And they're not going to be very good in sales if they don't like rejection and going outside their comfort zone. A high C, what's the great aspects of a high C? They're great at dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They're not people person, so the challenge is because they thrive on perfection, there's really no such thing as perfection. Excellent, yes. Perfection, no. So sometimes they spend too much time belaboring decisions, belaboring systems because they want it exactly right. And sometimes that takes time. And it can really aggravate a high D that wants to get things done now. Now, as far as communication and managing your team, high Ds, get to the point. They don't care about how the weather is. They don't care about your family. Get to the point. Tell them what they need to know, what they need to do, what you need from them, and how much it's going to cost. A high I. Remember, they're situational listeners. You have to make sure they're either writing it down or repeating it back to you. Because if you're just telling them and they're not writing it down or repeating it back, I guarantee within 5 minutes, they'll forget. A high S. You want to be more reserved with a high S. You want to talk slower. You want to be calm. You want to be friendly. A high C, they don't care about relationships. They're very analytical. A high C is going to ask you a lot of questions. So when you're speaking to a high C, you have to be precise. You have to be accurate. You're going to have to be on your A game and be ready to answer their questions because they will have a lot of them. In sales, a high D can make a decision on the spot. A high I can make a decision on the spot, but they might think about it and get a little squirrely later on. A high S is going to want to think about it because they want to be calm. They want to think it through. So you might want to give them a day or give them the opportunity to ask them additional questions. And a high C really makes a decision on the spot because they're afraid of making mistakes. Now, when you begin to understand your own dynamics of your own behavior, of where you need to shift in certain situations and where you need to shift to communicate with these different behaviors, so you're communicating in their language opposed to communicating in your language, what if the benefits and advantage will be? Your communication style will be more congruent with everybody. You'll be able to get the best out of your team. And most importantly, especially in sales, because you're communicating in their language, your conversion rate will increase dramatically. Because if you're speaking to everybody in your language and not theirs, you are missing 50% of your potential client base, and you don't even know why. Now, the last thing about using behavioral assessments, I've talked to a lot of leaders, a lot of executives, a lot of business owners. Oh yeah, I've done them before. And my question is, well, how have you been using them and how have you been leveraging them for yourself and your team? I know, I just did it a year ago and looked at it once. That is a failure. These are very important tools, very valuable tools. If you need to be taught how to use them, please see someone like myself. But these tools are very valuable, so use them on a daily and weekly basis, and I guarantee your communication will be better, your synergy between your team will be better, and your conversion will also rise. And most importantly, when you use these in the hiring process, you'll putting a round peg in a round hole, and you get the right people in the right seats, opposed to making gut decisions and making the wrong decisions because you don't know their strengths and weaknesses. Hopefully this has been valuable. If anybody of you want to know more about how to use behavioral assessments in your business, be sure to give me a call. My name is Michael Dill. I'm your coach. I want to thank you for joining me on Monday morning, and I want to wish you a productive and profitable week. Go get them. Thank you.